So I wanted to start out showing this video here. It's a pretty cool clip of a turbocharger. A lot of people want to know how turbochargers work, and this is a 3D model I found of how it works. Basically, the red is the exhaust side. It's free energy. The air coming out hits the turbine, and it turns another turbine on the opposite side for the intake, and it pre-compresses the air, so that way the molecules are basically closer together. There's more oxygen, therefore you can add more gas beforehand, so you get more power. It's more efficient on the low and high end because it gets a little better gas mileage. A lot more cars, including small cars, are having turbos in order to make EPA demands. Something interesting also is that they do live a hard life and sometimes do consume and burn oil, unfortunately, due to the fact that they live their life at about 20,000 RPM. So this shows kind of like what happens when an oil leak starts. It goes into the intake, then it's just a bad cycle, starts burning more oil. We catch this a lot. So turbo oil leaks, a lot of times people won't see any oil, but they're losing oil, and it has to do with the turbo consumption. It's time to change out the turbo. Sometimes there's an internal cartridge that can be changed, but it's tough to source good cartridge. A lot of them are just like cheaper knockoffs basically, and you're stuck building it yourself rather than getting it direct from manufacturer. This basically shows a cracked wastegate, how you lose power efficiency. The wastegate purpose is to deactivate the turbo when you're at a high RPM, so that way it doesn't overboost. Overboosting blows head gaskets, it can hurt engines. It has to be relieved in some manner, and that pop-up valve basically is it. And with a crack, you would have no boost. This is an intercooler. Intercooler takes that hot air from being compressed, puts it through kind of like a radiator for air, basically tries to cool it off, because then it once again compresses it even lower. So if you can have cold air, compressed cold air, that's a benefit. This kind of shows what happens when the oil starts leaking into the intercooler. Replacement of a hose oftentimes is necessary, especially once the oil starts leaking. Sometimes these intercoolers leak. They're just plastic tanks with like a aluminum core. They do have a seal on them, and they do leak at times. We do have the ability to put them under load and do a smoke test. So we smoke it, we put it under a false boost condition. So if sometimes what will happen is only under boost will it leak. Otherwise, we could smoke it all day, it'll be fine. But once you pressurize it, then whatever's leaking is the issue. And we do have a tool that does help us to recreate this while the car's in the shop. Kind of a cool caption. I think the main thing that I would highlight also is that basically the difference between a turbocharger and a supercharger. A supercharger is a belt-driven compressor, so it runs off the accessories rather than using the exhaust gas as a measure of control. Basically, all your diesel engines have a turbocharger, otherwise they would have no power whatsoever. So turbos are a lot of fun. There's a lot of twin turbos out there, and they do provide some power when you need it. It's just they can be a little pricey when they go bad. It's best to stay on top of it, because burning oil hurts the engine, causes the rings to crack and go bad. So that's basically it. Just kind of a cool little visualization. I hope everybody enjoyed. Just kind of a little catch up as to what's going on, how manufacturers are using a lot of turbos, and a lot of it has to do with meeting gas efficiency demands. So they do provide more power, better gas mileage, but do require some extra maintenance. Thank you.